It's important to me to share my story that I lived through during that 2-year period that I was married to him. The journey has been very hard. 30 plus years. Over half my life.
We are on the scene of a tragic drama which unfolded just a short time ago.
This monster, who calls himself Edward Graff, seemed to be Carrie. Sometimes you can invite evil in without knowing it. I really wish that he would have gotten the death penalty. But instead, he was going to be set free.
I testified in my first trial, and I would testify again. And all I can tell him is that, I didn't do it.
It's a lie, just like he lied from the very beginning. What he did is so evil. Even if he died, even if he got the death penalty, I will never have complete justice for what he did. In this box are all the pictures that I have left. This is my box of memories. This picture was taken when I was still single before I married Ed. It's a picture of Jovi, Jason, and me. I was divorced for about 4.5, 5 years, working 2 jobs, raising my little guys. I was struggling at the time. I taught school during the day, and I worked from 5 till 9 at a jewelry store at the mall. Sometimes Ed would come in and visit with the other girls that worked there. I thought that he was this guy that had it all together. Good job at the bank, and he was actively involved in his church, and he had a home and a boat. He had a good reputation in town. He was like a pillar of the community. One day I received a call. I was surprised, found out later that it was through my friends. He seemed very interested in me. We went to eat a couple of times. So then I got to know him a little bit better. At least I thought I did. I told Ed I was going to move in with my dad because I was having a hard time making ends meet. So one day, unannounced, there was a knock at my door. When I opened the door, I was very surprised to see Ed Graff standing there.
Ed, I wasn't expecting you.
He said he was just in the area and he stopped by.
I know that you said you were packing up this weekend, and I figured I'd surprise you and stop by.
He offered to help me move. It made me feel uneasy that he knew my address.
Come on, you look like you could use another set of hands.
Oh, that's very sweet, but you don't have to do that.
I felt like he was almost like stalking me. But at the same time, a part of me was a little bit relieved that I was going to have his help.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to impose.
No, I could use the help.
I expressed to him that all I wanted was friendship out of this. And I was not ready to get into another relationship.
So you could just put those in this box.
Yeah.
Thanks, I really appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure.
But he continued to come around. He was persistent. Whenever he did some of his deeds to try to help me and make my life easier. It was always in a way that drew a lot of attention.
Claire,
Hi.
have a seat.
Thank you.
I went into my credit union one day to check on my loan that I was stuck with from my ex-husband.
I was hoping to make a payment today.
Oh. Let's see.
One of the loan officers told me that this young man had been in and that he had paid off my loan.
Your loan has been fully paid for.
I said, well, who would pay that loan?
It looks here like it is a Mr. Ed.
Had been in and paid the loan off, several $1,000s. I had mixed emotions. I felt happy, I felt special, but a little reluctant to what was behind all of this. Ed and I were not in a serious relationship.
Hey, Claire.
Ed?
Did you like your surprise?
You didn't have to do that.
I know I didn't have to.
When I thanked Ed for paying off the loan, I said, it's a lot of money. That's quite a chunk. He acted like it was just not a big deal. It was nothing. I was just trying to help you.
It's too much. I can't accept
Really,
it.
don't worry about it. I like to help when I can.
Thanks.
It was my pleasure.
When I told one of my family members that he had paid off my loan, they said, this guy is somebody that you need in your life. If he asked you to marry him, you'd be a fool not to.
I think the least I can do is repay you with a cup of coffee.
Coffee would be wonderful.
As Ed and I spent more time together, he won me over. I was willing to give the relationship a chance because I thought in time that maybe my feelings would grow. As Ed and I spent more time together, our relationship wasn't the hot kind of romance, but it was a good choice. We didn't date all that long before he started talking about marriage.
I've been giving this a lot of thought.
He presents me with this gorgeous engagement ring. The ring was much more than I expected. I was really taken back because of the size of it. He also paid for the wedding dress and the honeymoon. I know he had a good job at the bank, but I just wondered how he could afford that. But he assured me that everything was okay. He just seemed to have this life that was so calm and laid out, and I decided to accept his proposal and just move forward. We might not have had that crazy dynamic chemistry, but I thought maybe that it would grow in time. I noticed it started to change after we were told that we were pregnant. Just started seeing more controlling attitude. One afternoon after school, 20, 30 minutes later than I normally do,
Ed? What's wrong?
he was standing there tapping his watch, like, you're late.
Hi, honey.
What time it is?
And he said, you usually are home 30 minutes before now. Where have you been? He was keeping tabs on me, and I said, I don't have to get permission from you. You're not my daddy.
I didn't realize I needed your permission to stay out.
He just turned around and walked in the house. I felt like I was being suffocated, but I suppose I thought he was just being super overprotective, like very overprotective of me, because I was carrying his child. So I just kind of let it go. Ed has his own idea of how things should go, and if you don't agree with it, there's always some kind of price to pay.
good picture.
We always had birthday parties, somewhere special. When I first introduced Ed to my sons, he was good with them. I felt like Ed would be a good stepfather. I asked Joby and Jason how they felt about Ed. Did they like him? Would they like for him to be their new stepdad? And they both said yes. They were very excited about it. But when I married Ed, I started seeing a change in him. I feel like Ed wanted Joby and Jason to be non-existent. He wanted them to just disappear into their room. He wanted everything to be just about his baby and his new lifestyle, but without my sons. When I look back, I start seeing all these different little red flags. Joby and Jason were very excited about having a new baby, wanting to be close to their little brother.
Boys, come here.
Until one day, when Ed was not there, it was time to feed him a bottle.
You guys want to help?
No.
No. You were practically begging me the other day.
So what's going on? This is all you talked about, was getting to handle the baby, hold the baby.
What's wrong? Joby?
We don't want to hold him now.
And they looked down. Instead of looking at me, I said, look at me in the eyes and tell me why you have this change of attitude. And I said, is it Ed?
Did your stepfather say something to you?
And then they said, if Daddy finds out, we're going to get a terrible spanking.
Honey. Well, Ed's not here, and I say that you can hold the baby. Come here. Why don't you help me feed him?
He's at work. I don't care what he said to you. Who wants to go first? I just let it roll off my shoulders because I thought he was concerned about his baby. And this is the part that really haunts me. I didn't realize that he was driving a wedge between me and my sons. I was looking for Ed, and he wasn't in the bedroom, wasn't in the rest of the house. I opened the doors in the garage, and the light was off. I noticed that he had a hot dog in his hand, and I asked him what's the deal.
Ed, what are you doing?
Ed said cats were using his flower beds as a litter box, and he said, I'm going to put strychnine in a hot dog, and then it'll take care of them. They'll never be around here again.
That seems a little extreme, Ed.
And I said, that's very cruel. He just said, go on back in the house. I'll be in a few minutes. I never saw that cat again. And it made me have a sick stomach. Because if he could do that to an animal, what is he capable of? If something gets in his way and he doesn't like it, he gets rid of it. That is truly the story of Ed Graff. Joby and Jason were swimming here. They're having fun. They just look free and happy. The boys always loved the water from when they were really little, and one day Ed took it a little too far.
They're like little.
And I noticed that there was a lot of splashing going on. I thought Jason was trying to swim up to the shallow end. Then I realized that Ed was holding him under the water, and he was just thrashing, just trying to get up.
Stop.
And I screamed at him and said, what are you doing? Let him up. I could see Jason's head, and I could see Ed holding him down. Jason, when he he could get up and get a breath, he took a deep breath and he started crying. He goes, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get my... And he was very upset about it.
You okay, honey? Are you sure? You all right? Promise?
I got very angry with Ed, but he just seemed to blow it off.
How would you do that, Ed?
Oh, we were just horsing around, right, Champ?
He said, we were just playing. I could tell our marriage was really being threatened by his behavior.
Never do that again. If you keep this up, I swear.
I can't continue to expose Jovi and Jason to this kind of treatment. And then he said, if things don't work out and we happen to split up, you will never take my son from me. He didn't mention Jovi and Jason. He just said, you will never take my son from me. It felt like it was a threat in so many words. What am I going to do? I just wanted to keep the peace. I didn't want to make waves. I didn't want to have our marriage already be on the rocks and dragging my kids in and out of a marriage. Even my dad, when I went to him and told him, and these are some of the things that are happening, he said, just be patient with him and see if things don't settle down.
Ed?
I did it for you.
The wounds from that will never heal. And I've learned to live with it. I've learned to go on. But I will carry this pain to my grave. After work one day, when I went into the house, Ed was there, and he normally wasn't there at that time of day.
Ed?
I thought something happened to someone in his family, his parents, or somebody was sick or something happened. So I asked, what's going on?
I was fired today.
He told me that he had lost his job at the bank for embezzlement.
I'm sorry.
How much?
$70,000.
$70,000. Oh my God.
And I asked him, how long has this been going on? And he said 12 years. As he was talking, the puzzle pieces start fitting in. This is how he is like a bottomless money pit. And that's the reason I have this ring on my finger, because of him taking money that didn't belong to him. Ed said, please stay. I don't want you to go. I'm just begging you to stay and for us to work this out.
Please don't leave me. Please.
I felt like that at that moment, he was being sincere.
It's gonna be okay.
I'll make it up to you, I swear.
The bank did not press charges. He was going to meet with them and see if they could make restitution and pay it back. He said that he was going to use his 401k to pay it back, and that his mother was going to help him try to figure out how to come up with the rest of the money. It's all taken care of. Don't worry about it. After Ed was fired from the bank, Ed got a job as a claims adjuster for an insurance company. He seemed very interested in the fire and arson that he was learning about. One evening, we were at my brother's house, and my sister-in-law mentioned that they were interested in getting new carpet.
It is old and it is ratty, but we can't afford to get a new one.
Well, what if you had to pay for it?
Ed volunteered information about how they could get new carpet if fire jumped out from the fireplace, burned it, that they could file an insurance claim. Ed said that fire is hard to prove. Sometimes it's hard to determine if it was actually an accident.
You can't be serious. You can go to jail for something like that.
Claire, relax.
I just said that was wrong. That's like lying, making a false claim. It's like stealing again. And he said, oh, don't worry, just blew it off.
There we go.
Ed came to me with a pamphlet.
Claire, you got a sec?
Yeah.
Just wanted to show you something.
Ed decided that it was a good idea to get some extra life insurance on the boys. Ed said that this is life insurance, but kind of has a dual purpose because it's not only a life insurance policy, we could cash it out and use it for their college tuition.
Honestly, this is the best thing we can do.
And I thought it was a great idea because at this point we were didn't have the money to pay for 3 college educations.
It'd be nice to give them something to hold on to.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
He was going to use this 401k to pay the bank back. This would help us a lot down the road.
What do you say?
Go for it.
I did not see the policies come in the mail. But I wasn't suspicious. Ed was a claims adjuster. I felt good about him relaying the information to me. I just thought, okay, it's all taken care of. It just leaves you weak. I felt like this wasn't really happening, but it was. It was reality. On August 26, 1986.
Claire?
Yeah?
I was in my classroom, and the principal comes in to tell me that he received a call and that I needed to go home.
Something's happened.
He goes, but they want me to drive you home. And I asked him, what's the deal? What's going on? He goes, well, there's been a fire at your house. We got in his car and he drove me the back roads. We said very few words. He was super quiet. Pulling up in the driveway, I looked around and I saw the streets lined with cars, emergency vehicles, and kids along the sidewalks had their hands over their mouths, and some of them were crying, and I knew that something was wrong. Severely wrong.
We are on the scene of a tragic drama which unfolded just a short, still sketchy, but there may have been an explosion.
Ed was waiting in the garage. I said, where are the boys?
Claire,
What's
stop.
happened? Where's Jason and Jovi?
And he said, well, we've lost the boys. And I thought, it didn't dawn on me exactly what he was trying to say. In my mind, I was thinking, what did they just get scared and run off? Maybe they're hiding somewhere.
Well, let's go find them.
No, Claire.
And I said, where are they? And he said, Claire, Jovi and Jason are dead. I felt like somebody cut me off at my knees, reached down my throat, pulled my heart out. I remember pushing him out of the way, and one of the volunteer firemen came up to me, and I sort of pleaded with him. I want to hold them. I want to hold my babies before you take them away. I just have to. And he said, so gentle and so kind, I just have to encourage you not to go because they don't look the same. I told him I had hugged him and kissed him goodbye that morning, and he said, then that's what you need to remember. This is Jason. Jason was the funny guy. He was full of laughter, and he was a little mischievous. I guess he got that from my dad. He really liked music, so he would dance and have fun. He just had this flair, this extra jive about him. That was his personality. Joby's was more serious, and he was very competitive as far as athletics. He really liked sports. This picture is of Joby. Of the two, he was the protector. He was the protector of his brother. And while they were so close in age, they were always together. I don't think they remember a time when the other one wasn't there. Oh, this is my favorite. Yep, this is one of my favorite pictures, taken a few months before they died. This was from my sister's wedding. They were junior groomsmen. This picture looks exactly like the last time I saw him. Pictures are really important. The volunteer firemen said that they found things that could be salvaged. Their schoolwork, pictures. This is some of the artwork that the firemen salvaged from the fire and gave to me. Some of it is just singed around the edges. I said, why were those things out there? Because the last time I saw them, they were under their bed. And that was just a few days ago. They had to be placed in a storage shed by Ed. Because Joby and Jason would never put those books out there. Anything that he could get his hands on, he put in the fire. And this is what's left. It was ruled accidental fire. I was told that the boys might have been in the building playing with matches. But none of this made sense. Why would the boys go outside to a storage building on a hot summer day? The next morning, everything was gone. No debris anywhere. But there was a sprinkler going. I said, why is the sprinkler out there?
Do you have to run the sprinklers?
And he said that he was just going to try to get the grass growing again.
You don't want to look out there and be reminded of what happened.
Who would do that? Not a parent that has just lost 2 children the night before. Very odd behavior. He said he was just trying to help. It would be better to clean all this up so he wouldn't have to look out the window and see what's left of the storage building. But Ed was not comforting. He didn't hold me. He didn't put his arms around me and say, we're going to get through this. It was almost as if Ed was erasing Joby and Jason from my life, from my memory. He tried to. I was trying to figure out a plan to get away from Ed, but I noticed that Ed was following me around, keeping very close tabs on me. How was I going to handle this? Those couple of days there, those were just the darkest part of my life. Ed and I went to the funeral home, and the funeral director was giving me choices.
I just never thought I'd have to make a decision like this.
I know it's difficult. If there's anything we can do to help.
And Ed said, well, you know what? We could just put them in the same casket, and then we just have to get one. And I said, absolutely not.
How could you say something like that? No, I won't do that.
They were individual children. They need their individual caskets.
Why don't I show you some other options?
It just seemed to me that he just doesn't have that kind of connection that a parent has with the loss of a child. it was sort of just taking care of business. He was already making a claim on the insurance policies. The boys couldn't have done this to themselves. I was very suspicious. I noticed that Ed was following me around, keeping very close tabs on me. I wanted to talk to my best friends. I couldn't have private time with any of them to tell them my feelings inside, how I felt like Ed was behind this.
So how are you holding up? It's been a struggle. To be honest, I don't know.
We're doing about as expected.
He made sure that he was right there in almost every conversation, so I could not have any private conversation with anyone.
And I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. At least have something to eat. There's plenty of food. All right.
I don't remember any kind of support from him that day at all. Ed was especially interested in us going on with our life in a normal way.
We're going to get through this together.
He seemed to have a pep in his walk, almost cheerful. He even grabbed my fingers, just held them, and said, I thought if Joby and Jason were gone, this would bring us closer together.
John, wait up.
So when my brother offered for me to grab a few things and go to his house for a few days, I just knew that this was my chance to get away, that I needed to do it now. I knew the baby was safe because he loved the baby so much. I would take care of getting the baby later, which I did. Once I left that house, I wasn't going to go back. Several people had already been to the police. That's how the investigation started. It was just started out small and it grew. One of the first steps was to exhume the boys' bodies and send them to Dallas to have a very thorough, detailed autopsy. And the evidence showed that they had been placed in there when they were asleep. They had smoke and soot in their throat, but not enough if they're awake. Most of our victims, if they can't get out of a building, they find them in the corner. They find them huddled together. And they were separated from each other, but in a very relaxed position. The evidence showed that they made no attempt to get up. I believe that they were knocked out before he placed them in there. And then after the fire started, all those toxic fumes just put them to sleep forever. The investigation continued. Ed was free to come and go as he pleased for almost 10 months. Finally, Ed was arrested at his parents' house. When I see this picture of Ed being arrested, it gives me a little bit of satisfaction. When the jury delivered their verdict, Ed was convicted of capital murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison. Although it didn't bring back my boys, Ed's conviction gave me peace. And it just felt like a huge load was lifted off my shoulders that he was going to be locked up for life.
Arson cases once considered solved and closed are getting a fresh look in Texas. Ed Graff has spent 25 years in prison for killing his two stepsons. In 1988, prosecutors leaned heavily on photos of the shed's remains, analyzed by investigators. But by today's standards of fire science, those investigators may not have been right.
Your heart just drops because I was told Ed would get a second trial. It was gut-wrenching, very gut-wrenching to know. Here we are all these years later, like 26 years later, and it creeps back up again.
Well, I testified in my first trial, and I would testify again, and all I can tell them is that I didn't do it. I loved them, and I treated them. I tried to treat them like my own.
It's a lie, just like he lied from the very beginning, from day one. The look on his face, I've seen that look before, and there's not a sincere bone in his body. It's the good fighting the evil. I wasn't going to let him win. That's what I felt like this whole time. It was like, okay, we go to war again. Here we go. After all these years of his lying and denying, Ed decided to plead guilty to murdering both Joby and Jason. And I was shocked. I wanted to hear him speak the words, so we accepted the plea. He had to stand before the judge in the courtroom and admit his crimes. This is part of the judicial confession that I heard that day. I, Edward E. Graff Jr., am pleading guilty because I am guilty of murder. I never expected to ever hear those words. I knew all along, and now everyone else does too. Our governor created this law because the prisons were full, and he could qualify for mandatory release if he admitted his crime. Because of the loophole, it was immediate release, so it happened within weeks after the end of the trial in 2014. For those 26 years, we all had peace of mind that he was not out on the streets, that he was behind bars, and he was locked up not to hurt anyone else. And now he's out, living in an apartment, driving his car, having the freedom that you and I have. Finally, after all these years. But it hurts me that he was able to have his freedom for what he did. It's so evil. I will never have complete justice for what he did. Even if he died, even if he got the death penalty, he's one person, and I lost two. And those children looked up to him and depended on him for their safety. I'll never get over the deaths of my children. I will just carry this pain to my grave. You learn to live with it. You have to go on. You have to go on, but you learn to live with it. Otherwise, you would just be a basket case somewhere. I just refuse to let that happen